Welcome to my guide on Beast Wrestler for the Sega Genesis. Now in this section, I'm not going to make it too long, but I'm going to go over the controls, the basic rules, and pretty much some of the techniques you see me use in a Longplay. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, the controls are A, which is your punch, B is your tail attack, and C is your death blow, or if you want you can call it super. Now death blows, they take 20 seconds in order for them to be ready, so you can see the symbol that's flashing next to my orbs on the bottom of the screen. And after you use a death blow, so I'm going to use it right now, which requires a grab of the opponent. You use it, the icon will disappear, and it will take 25 more seconds, around there, like 25 seconds in order to get it back. And this goes for every single monster, and not all death blows are the same. For my monster, it requires a grab, and for the opponent, it's a projectile, so all he has to do is just stand still and press C. Now, when you get KO'd in this game, which I'm going to do right now with the opponent's death blow, because it doesn't hit that hard, but the character I'm using is really weak. But when you get KO'd, you'll notice that one of your orbs on the bottom of the screen turns red. Once all 3 of your orbs turn red, which is 3 KOs, you're done. That's it. The match is over. The opponent wins, and there's nothing you can do about it. So obviously, is death blow the only way to get a KO? No. But they're your main method of getting a KO. So the whole idea is to, barrage the opponent with attacks until you get your death blow ready, and then set up a situation in which your death blow will land. Now there's plenty of ways to do this. First off, you can land some attacks to weaken them. So with a punch or your tail attack. And when you do enough hits on the opponent, they get knocked down. Now I need to explain this now, but when you have the opponent knocked down in this game, you've pretty much won. And the reason is because when you pick an opponent up in this game, they become dazed. They can't press anything, even if they mash. They'll be dazed for about 3 seconds or around there. But what happens if you knock them back down? That's right, you can loop this endlessly. So you could imagine you knock down the opponent once, then you repeat this loop, and you do this until your death blow comes back. And this is how you beat the game. This works on almost every character, and how easy it is to do it depends on which monster you're using, which monster you're facing. Because sometimes you might pick up a monster and they'll be too close, so you end up grabbing them by accident. But in a situation like this, I can just do this endlessly until the time runs out, or until I have my death blow ready. And you think that would be all, but there's actually more to this. So, I need to first explain how grabs work. When you walk into the opponent, or when the opponent walks into you while you're standing, both of you will go into a lock. During this lock, you can, there's different kinds of grabs. You can press A to strangle them with your tail, or press B to slam them on the ground, and again, you can see all of the moves in the guide I made below. But during this lock, when it first happens, you have to look out for when both monsters bend down, when they bend the knees. So you see Airho bends his knees, and you see the opponent, which is Daikun, sort of bend down. He doesn't have knees, so, but you see it bend down. You want to press the input right when this happens. So you see it happen once I unpause, so wait. And right there is when they bend their knees. So then I can press A to perform my grab. And it will instantly knock them down. Now the important thing about grabs is that, as you can tell, it takes timing. Against the CPU, you have to be flawless when it comes to doing this. There's no room for error. So the instant you see their knees bend is when you have to do the input. If you're too slow, the CPU will almost always beat your grabs, and you have to get the timing down. My tactic for doing this is, first you gotta get used to the timing. Once you get used to the timing, the only grab I really use when grabbing is either the death blow, for Airho, since he has to grab it in order to do it, or right when the knees is about to bend, I press A 2 to 3 times really quickly. So right here, and I do that, and usually I beat out the opponent when I'm facing a player or the CPU. But again, the important part is that you get used to the timing, because you can only perform these grabs once both of the monsters' knees bend. And if you mistime it, then you'll probably just get blown up for it pretty much. And the reason is because, like I said, grabs lead into knockdown. So, you know, you get a knockdown, and then you can pick them up. There's another loop in this game, but it's very, very strange. So you've seen how you can pick up the opponent, keep knocking them down, stall until you get your death blow back, whatever, and to get a KO. This game also has ground submissions. When the opponent is down, you press down and A. It doesn't work on every monster, but it does for the most part. And you strangle like their head or whatever. The max amount of submissions you can do against an opponent on the ground is 4. Once you get to that point, this is where you can actually endlessly loop them. Now, now you might be wondering, okay, what do you mean? You just said like the maximum number of submissions is 4. Well, this game has running. And if you do a running attack and miss on purpose, the number of submissions resets. So as you can see, I just did 2. I'm gonna run and do my attack. I'm gonna stop. Do the submissions again. That's the 3rd one technically, and then here's the 4th one. And you can see that he's still on the ground. So I'm gonna run again, do my attack, stop, grab again. And yes, this is an infinite loop. As you can well imagine, you can also use that to, and the reason why he got up was because I actually hit him with my dash attack, and I think hitting opponents on the ground also puts this counter up. But if you can't, like, even though I find this way easier when you just knock them down and just pick them up and do this, if you're in a situation where you can't do this, it's much easier to just loop them endlessly with the running attack and then go from there. Now, the last thing I should mention is that even though death blows are the main ways of KOing an opponent, this game is a bit weird in that, like, sometimes you can KO an opponent with just like a few attacks or like 1 submission. Other times they might KO you in 1 move and it's not even like they're super. But the main way that always works for me to KO an opponent is that this loop right here, when you pick them back up and knock them back down. If you do it about like 5 to like 15 times, rarely it can go to like 20, I don't know, but if you do it at least 15 times, and you go for a backdrop, which is done by grabbing them from behind, you can actually get a KO that way. And I'm gonna knock them down, and then when you pick them up, you go around them. Because they're dazed, they can't like switch sides. And during this, they can't do nothing. No joke. You can stay here and wait for the whole timer if you want to and not press a single button. They can't do anything about this. Once you grab them from behind, if you want, you can just drop the controller and the match will end with a time over. It's really broken. It's stupid, but like I said, if you get to 15 knockdowns, in this situation, you can press A or B for a backdrop. And because air hole is weak, it didn't KO, but that's fine. So that's pretty much it for the game. Like, I think I already mentioned how, like, when you get KO'd once, so I'm gonna do Daikun's super. When you get KO'd once, you see the monster start crying out, like, right here. If you get KO'd by anything that isn't a death blow, you can actually, like, mash the buttons and there's a chance that your monster will live and, like, not get KO'd. Otherwise, once you get KO'd, it becomes really easy for your monster to be KO'd again, so that goes for the opponent too. So for instance, it might take like 2 death blows to KO the opponent once, but after that it might only take 1. You never know. So I think I explained the main points about the game. I think I didn't get to talk about running, which is done by pressing up. You want to press a diagonal direction twice, and then you want to press the opposite direction to stop. And then if you press A or B while running, you get your dash attack. For him, it's just flowing across the screen, and for the opponent, it should be a jump attack, yeah. And those are the 2 main kinds of attacks. I've never seen the opponent have a different kind of attack that wasn't like either a dash or a jump attack. So yeah, now that I explained like the most important parts about this game, let's get into the long play. Alright, so here's the no death run, and I'll talk in the beginning of each match to give a a pretty brief description on how the match can go. And I'll talk over the cutscenes of as well. So let's get straight into it. Dragon Warrior. The strongest warrior ever to be found since the dawn of history. The creation of genetic engineering in the 21st century. Your fight to become the champion of the world has just begun. So this game has a lot of typos, by the way. Well, you must be new here. Welcome. What? You're going to fight the Dragon Warriors? That's a very long pause. How about this one? ENTSSL 2019 Warrior. That is wonderful. Even above you can handle this beast. The price? So this game has some really bad spelling errors. It's really noticeable. Now, don't be alarmed by the different color of my beast. This is simply a color palette mod I did beforehand. But I didn't modify anything else about the game, just the colors only. At least for the main monster. And of course I will be naming him Icarus. Now, you have two supers you can pick after you enter your name. Fling Screw is useless. It's a death blow that requires you to grab the opponent. But as I mentioned in the intro, grabs, you know, it's like a 50-50, it depends on timing and you have to be perfect in order to outbeat the CPU. It's better to pick Magnum Dash because that super, not only does it hit very hard, but you don't even have to grab the opponent in order to use it. And you see that in a bit. So right here is the beginning of the match. This is against the Nectar. This match is pretty easy. It's pretty much the tutorial match because, believe it or not, the opponent doesn't have a death blow. So it actually takes some work for the opponent to KO you at least once. Now right here, you're going to see me pick up the opponent by going slightly over their body, and I'm going to keep doing this. Now the thing I should mention is that when you pick up an opponent, it usually if you miss an attack before you do that or during it, it would take 4 punches again to knock them down. As you saw before, I was knocking them down with 1 hit, so right here it takes 4. But once I do it again, it takes 1. If you miss an attack in between these, it might take 4 punches again. See, right here, I missed the tail and now I have to hit them 4 times again to knock them down. So yeah, just keep that in mind, but other than that, you should be fine. This fight is, again, it's really easy. And when you have your Magnum Dash ready, you want your fist to line up with the opponent's body while they're lying down. You can hit them with this while they're standing, but the interesting thing about Magnum Dash is that this can hit them multiple times, and because you're punching through their body while they're lying down, it hit them 10 times or so. And that alone makes it the strongest death blow in the entire game, even better than every other monster maybe. So you just do that. I'm gonna do it while it's standing because this fight, again, it's really easy. If you lose this fight, I mean, I don't know what to say. You probably gotta practice. Because even though the Nectar doesn't have a death blow, like I said, it's possible for the opponents to get a KO on you, even without their death blow. It's very random, but it can happen. So, yeah, we got Icarus. He won the first match, no problem. And now we go into the second match of the game. And from here, I won't really say a lot because I already made the section on the gameplay. So I'll just give a brief description of how these matches go whenever you start. So this is Volsing. This is the second match of the game. And this is the only, there's only 2 monsters like this, but like the other monster that will come up later in the playthrough, you can't grab this monster. So you can't grab it from the front or the back. Your only option is to hit him. So if you pick Fling Screw here, you cannot use it at all, and this match would take a very long time. That should be another reason why you should never pick it and always pick Magnum Dash. So you see right here, I'm going to KO him by using Magnum Dash. I'm going to go down, but first I'm going to knock him down 1 more time. And I'm going to use, again, line up your fist with their body and it will hit multiple times and almost guarantee a KO. Now the strategy you see me use here is that I'm gonna keep hitting Volsing with the tail attack, and when it gets up, it'll get knocked down. I'm gonna go to the right. Right here, you want to wait for it to get up, and if you don't miss, it'll get knocked down in 1 attack. And unfortunately, I missed my Magnum Dash. I didn't go down, I didn't go down enough. My fist didn't line up correctly. But that's okay, because even if it takes like 4 to 5 hits to knock down Volsign, it'll only take 1 hit to knock it down again, as long as you don't miss it. Once you miss, it might take 4 hits again. So again, I'm just stalling for time. I could hit it right while it's down, but it's just best if I wait. That once Magnum Dash is ready, I can punch through it and boom, and you KO it like that. So as long as you do this, you will be fine. Now this is the shop area, and here you can buy items that will power up your beast. So we got a lot of items here. First up is the whip. It increases the stat by 20 points. The bullhorn, that's 30 points. I never buy that in any of my playthroughs. The combat darts are 40 points, and all of these potions will increase a specific stat by 200 points. The food gun, you need it in order to use these potions, so it's important that you save up for that. And the data disc on the right will tell you the stats of each opponent before you start the match. So the blue disc is for the first part, and the green disc is for the second part. Now when you hover over this pass, as a pass through the facility, you get an explanation about monster fusions. What is combining beast? Well, let's find out. Combining dragon is to combine the cells of a dragon which you defeated and the cells of your dragon to create a stronger dragon warrior. Most of the domestic as well as international warriors are combined dragons, which have enhanced their fighting powers. Not all the dragons can be combined because each beast has a specific genetic combination. Number of beasts which are suitable to Venver, Daikun, and Dritten. There's a lot of errors in this game, holy crap. Okay, so right away, buy the whip, and next time we're gonna buy the darts, and then the next time we're gonna buy the food gun and go for the PP increase. So here's the training section. There's 3 stats to worry about. You got the PP, which is your power, the LP is your health, and the SP is your speed. In this run, I'm going to go for power only because while having more life will take longer for the opponent to defeat you, I want to defeat my opponents as fast as possible. Now when you select the stat in this section, it will increase it by 100 points, but because we have the whip, it will increase it by 120 points instead. Now this next fight is Airhole. This is where the real game begins. If he gets a few hits on you, he can KO you very easily, but his normal attacks have very short range, so as long as you space him out with your tail attack and then pick him up to go for the loop, you can beat him very easily. And of course, what you want to do is, as you're going for the loop of like picking him up and knocking him back down, you want to get ready to use Magnum Dash while he's down in order to like KO him really quickly. So you see me do that in that match, and I'll pretty much do it for the whole match. I don't know how I got that backdrop there, but thankfully it knocked him down, so I can go straight for the Magnum Dash. And from here, I'll just do the same thing of picking him up and knocking him back down. Alright, this is Venture. What's interesting about this monster is that you can't pick it up and you can't grab it from behind. Because, if you remember from the earlier section, I hope I mentioned it, the only way to grab a monster from behind is to pick them up, because when you move around them, they always face your direction. Thankfully, even though he has a tail attack, for some reason doesn't hit. So if you just go slightly under Venture and just keep punching him, not only will you be in a situation where you'll be able to like keep punching it, but because its only attack is like a punch, since the tail attack is gonna miss, it will keep missing and you keep hitting it. And from here I do the usual, magnum dash it while it's down, and because I can't pick it up, my only option here is to go for the submission loop, which is when you use a submission while they're down and then purposely miss a running attack in order to like reset this counter. Because if you remember, it takes 4 submissions before they forcibly get up. So I did 3 there, I missed the jump attack, and now I'm able to go for 3 more. So you can do this throughout the whole match, and that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say here. So after you defeat Venture, you'll be able to enter the shop again. Now, if you buy the combat darts here, you'll still have enough money later on to afford the food gun and the PP food, which is pretty vital in order to like get our stats as high as possible, like as soon as possible. So right here, you're gonna see me buy the combat darts, and I'm going to use it to power up my PP. So this is Daikun. This fight is incredibly easy, and you're about to see why in a bit. Now, Daikun has some long reach in attacks. This tail attack is very long. You'll probably, it can easily outreach yours. And this death blow can also KO you easily since it's just a projectile. But once you knock this guy down once, this fight is really easy, and hopefully it happens soon. It should. But anyway, so I think I didn't get a grab there, wow. So once you knock down, so here we go. So when you pick it up and you punch it back down, you don't have to move to pick it back up again and knock it down over and over. And by mistake, I for a tail attack, but that's fine. I still had enough time to knock it down. And you see me keep doing this, and then I go for the Magnum Dash. Again, it's better to do Magnum Dash while they're down, but because he took so many knockdowns, even one hit from it while standing was enough to defeat it. Well, at least KO it once. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I go for the backdrop sooner or later. Maybe not. But I'm constantly punching it. 11, 12. And I guess I go for Magnum Dash one more time. Now, I don't know if, I'm not sure if I go for the backdrop in this match. Because I mentioned that if you do like 15 knockdowns at least, you can go for a backdrop and that will actually KO them. And that's without a death blow. So maybe I might do it right here, we'll see. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I'm gonna go around Daikun, and this should KO. Yep, there you go. So, as you just saw, you can KO them with a backdrop, but it takes a lot of knockdowns in order to do so. Really easy match. Once you knock down Daikun, you should have no issue whatsoever in taking it down. Next up is Dritten. I'm not gonna say anything for this match. He can paralyze you with his death blow because it's a projectile and it'll stop you from moving, but you can still attack during this. The reason why I don't want to say much for this match is because he suffers the same issue as Daikun. I do not need to tell you what this means. After defeating the domestic ranked champion, which was Dritten, you get a cutscene of what's coming up next. The domestic #1 champion Dritten was defeated by your beast. Now, you are the domestic champion. I am sure that you are not quitting the fight here. And you see a picture of all the monsters you gotta face soon. Yep, there they are. In the world, in the whole world, unknown beast warriors are waiting for you. Can you beat them all? Only the moon knows the future. And man, I'm sure everyone knows how bad this spelling is. So you enter the shop again. Oh, the domestic champion is coming. I make a huge mistake here. I bought the monster pass. Right here, you're supposed to buy the food gun. But because I bought the pass immediately, now I can't save up enough money to get the PP food and the food gun in the next shop. And you see that happen later, but for now, it's time for the main important part of this playthrough, which is the fusion facility. After you defeat Dritten, you can fuse with a monster here. You got two options. You have Daikun, which is painful and I don't recommend it. And you got Velvet, which isn't too bad, but the game's still gonna be kinda hard. But for this playthrough, I'm going to do something a bit different this time. So on the playthrough on the left is Ikus, and he's going to be fusing with Daikun, which is Path B. And the playthrough on the right is Scrum, and he's going to fuse with Velvet, which is Path A. Now, once you do the fusion, first up is Federico, which is probably the strongest monster in this game in the hands of a human. What you want to do in this match is do not miss a tail attack. You see me miss it on the left, but on the right, I land all of them and he gets knocked down. So when you do miss, what you want to do against Federico, like as you see on the left side of the screen, you want to move down and back and keep hitting him with your fist, because Federico's like body is really small. It's hard to hit this guy. But once you keep knocking it down, you want to do the same tactic you did against Volstein. You want to wait, You want to knock it down immediately when it gets up, and again, make sure you don't miss, otherwise it will take a lot of hits to knock it down again. And once you do this, just, you know, get your death blow ready, hit it. It's difficult to hit it as the Daikun fusion, but you should be fine. Uvolos is pretty difficult, so I don't know if this was intentional, but he has a weird bug where when you hit him, he barely gets like staggered or stunned. So unlike the left side where you see me knock him down in one hit for some reason, on the right side you'll see that when I hit him, he just like takes it, he just keeps walking forward anyways. The biggest problem with this fight is his death blow. It's an instant projectile, it'll almost always hit you, and heck, you can see on both screens I got KO'd by it. But as difficult as this is, and even though it hits so hard that I almost always KO you, once you knock down Uvolos, you'll be fine because, as mentioned before, you can loop him endlessly with the knockdowns, and you can do this until you get your death blow ready. Rinse and repeat. As long as you don't miss, you should be fine. So now we're gonna enter the shop again. If you remembered earlier, I made a mistake on the Ickis playthrough where I bought the pass first. On the Chrome playthrough, I didn't, so I was able to afford the food gun. But because I only but on the Ickis playthrough, now I only have enough for one of these items, which was I bought the PP food, but I don't have enough for the food gun. So Chrome is going to get a big boost in this section, but because Ickis can't get both, due to me making a mistake with buying the monster pass first when I should have waited. Now, I'm forced to pretty much use the combat darts, which is fine. You don't need, like, stats aren't too important in this game, but I really could have prevented this if I didn't make this mistake. And you might be wondering, well, why didn't you restart the playthrough then? I did, but this fight is the worst, and I don't ever want to do this fight again, and you see why. This is Alowina. This fight sucks. I don't have a good explanation for it. As the Velvent Cross, or the Venture Cross on the right, it's not too bad, but if you fuse with Daikun, this fight is painful. I'm not gonna say anything. The only thing I'm gonna say is when Crumb on the right picks up Alowina, he's able to punch it and knock it back down. Ickis can't do this on the left because when you pick up Alowina, it's so close to you that moving at all would trigger a grab, which is from the front. And because Alowina's super requires a grab, that's the last thing you want to do. And this would be fine if I could still hit it with like my punch, but again, Alowina is so close that not only can you not hit it with your attacks, but moving at all just triggers a lock. The playthrough on the right does not have this issue, and this is why I think that fusion is way easier to deal with. But the fight on the left is going to be very long, so I'll be quiet for now, but if you get up to this fight yourself, just expect it to be very annoying if you're fusing with Daikun. After you defeat Alowina, the second fusion will happen if you fuse with Ventor or Velvin, whatever you want to call him. This fusion is forced, and like, again, it will only happen if you fuse specifically with Ventor, and there's a lot I want to say about this fusion. The death blow is, the range on this fusion is really short, which is technically a good thing. But the death blow is different in that you have to do it while running. And it's very easy to miss because if you do it while running like up left or up right, it will never hit. It's almost impossible. But when you do it while running down left or down right, it's easier to hit. But the opponent has to be knocked down in order for it to land. I've never landed on an opponent that was standing up, and if that's possible, you can let me know. But with that fusion, you have to really get used to running and landing the super because it's like a jump. And he would like splash on the opponent and do damage or pretty much KO them. You see it happen right here. I jump on them and it knocks them out once. Now that I explained that fusion, I need to talk about this fight. This fight's kinda easy. Again, with the playthrough on the right, all you gotta do is knock them down and then walk forward to pick them back up again. And even though it looks like I'm struggling on the left, it's even easier on the playthrough on the left because when you knock down Octi, you might remember the issue from the Daikun and the Dritten fight where you don't have to move at all in order to re-knock down Octi. So if you just do that the whole entire match, you can just stall until you get your death blow, and with that I pretty much explained the Octi fight in a nutshell. Alright, so we entered the shop again, and finally I could afford the food gun on the left playthrough. And when you use food items, they disappear, so on the right playthrough I have to buy it again. And obviously from here, I don't know why I bought the disc. I really didn't have to, but it's easy to save money from here on out. From here I'm just gonna upgrade the PP to max on the right side. Yep, there we go, 990. And on the left side, it won't be maxed out, but it'll be very close, so I could pretty much ignore it for now. Especially since a very important moment is coming up late in the game. So this is Flagoras, and from here I'm gonna start to sound like a broken record. From this point on, all you really gotta do is just knock the opponents down and keep looping them until you get your death blow ready. I really don't have anything else to say. Plogurats, you almost never see it used as death blow because it needs to grab you from behind, which the CPU doesn't really do intentionally. They always try to grab you from the front or whatnot. But again, just keep knocking it down, loop it until you get your death blow ready, and that's it. After you defeat Plogoras when you fuse with Daikun, you'll actually be able to, you're forced to fuse with it pretty much, and this fusion I much prefer because I didn't mention it earlier, but my issue with the Daikun fusion is that the tail attack is really far, but once they get past the tip, it starts to miss a lot. With this fusion, the attacks are average, which is like the range is average, which is perfect because it makes it easier to fight close range. And the death blow hits really hard. It's actually a grab in which you have to grab them from the front and you toss them in the air, and you'll be able to perform a glitch where if you walk like up and forward after you throw them, you'll be able to grab them when they come back down and go for a free grab. It's hard to explain in words like how this makes sense. I don't think it does at all. But pretty much take the damage from the death blow and you're still able to grab them with a lock from the front. Like now, this is Hacks 004. Again, I don't have much to say here. All you have to do is get one knockdown and then loop him endlessly. The only difference here is that with the Crumb playthrough, the one on the right, you have to back up a bit in order to like hit Hacks with your tail attack. But again, it's the same exact thing, just loop them endlessly with the infinite knockdowns and you should be fine. You enter the shop yet again. Now, from here, since your PP is maxed out, you can pretty much upgrade your speed or your life. And to be honest, I think when it comes to the playthrough on the right, when you fuse with Velvet and Alarena, it's better to increase your life, because even though you see me increase my speed here, remember, your death blow requires you to run. And because you're running faster, the timing might start throwing you off now. And, you know, it's better to just leave your speed the way it is, because if in that case you'll still be used to your death blow. You know, speed is normal, but once you increase that speed, you have to adapt to it fast. And on the playthrough on the right, I did increase my health instead. Now it's at 850. This is Mikaha, if that's how you pronounce it. Again, same strategy. Knock it down, keep knocking it down until you get your death blow ready, and you'll be fine. What's funny about this fight is that on the left, you see that I have to back up in order to knock down Mikaha again. But on the right, it's the same issue as Dritten versus like Dritten and Daikun. You can just keep picking it up and knocking it back down without moving at all. So yeah, you just do that, wait till your death blow comes up, and then use it, and you should be good. Right, next up is Aminos. This fight isn't too bad, and the reason is because Aminos' death blow doesn't attack you, he actually turns invisible. And while he's invisible, he can't attack and you can't attack, so the death blow, all it does is really just wastes time. And from there, again, I sound like a broken record at this point. Knock down, keep knocking them down to start for death blow, pick them back up over and over, and this fight should be free. This would be the last time we enter the shop. Now, you don't really have to buy anything here if you want, because when you leave the shopkeeper will give you this potion. This potion increases all of your stats by 200 points. So pretty much you select the stat, it goes up by 300 and your other stats go up by 200. So you could pretty much, like, you see here on the right playthrough, I use the potion to increase my health. That increases by 300 and the speed will increase by 200. On the left, because the stats of this fusion is really high, like the base stats, I go for the speed. And my power in my life is maxed out, and my speed was very close to being maxed out as well. If you didn't make the mistake I did, which was picking the pass over the food gun at that one moment before the fusion, you can get all of your stats for over 900 easily. Now the final fight of the game, just knock him down and pick him back up over and over. I got nothing else to say. Once you defeat the final boss, you get the ending. And the ending you get is the same no matter which fusion you went with. Now you are the champion of the whole world. Your great fight will be remembered by many people and will become a legend of the land. This is the rest period, but this is only the rest period to gather your strength for the next fight. And that is Beast Wrestler. Look, I like this game, but I can't recommend this game to someone else. It's just, there's so many issues. I don't want to get into them. I already left my opinion in the guide below, so if you want to like read that whole guide, have a better idea of how this game works and my opinion on it, you can check it out there. I'm not gonna, this isn't a case of Rise of the Robots where I'm never gonna play this game again after this. You know, I might turn it on maybe once every 2 months. I don't know, maybe I might go back to it for a bit, but I don't really like the game that much. It has too many issues. But with that said, I'll see you guys next time. I'm done. I don't like this game's okay. No, it's bad. Don't play it. If you want to play it, fine, but just know that it's gonna be very flawed and very frustrating. So again, I'll see y'all later, and I hope y'all enjoyed.